Welcome in to the whatever match day it is, Jornada episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, real underscore G Warner. On this episode, we will be going through all of the top five soccer leagues across Europe and trying to find some best bet winners. We are 2-0 on our last two ultimate best bet, which I pretty much end of the show. I do 1 minute, which I cut into a reel on Instagram at the real underscore G Warner. Same handle on YouTube, and then basically summarize my favorite from each of the leagues and then my favorite overall in the entire episode. Won our last two and try to keep that streak going. Thank you for all the support. Of course, all the new subscribers, Nick Restrepo, Lan Zhang on Patreon, patreon.com/real underscore G Warner. If you're looking for all my plays across all sports as we get into the playoff season, been really hot in pro football, NFL. So check that out, patreon.com/real underscore G Warner. But you're here for the soccer, so let's get into that. Let me make sure I can find the tab that I had open. And let's start where the money is, as English Premier League. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, if you leave a 5-star review, it's huge for the search rankings. Leave a comment in there, and I will read it. Which reminds me, I owe Joe Dollar one from YouTube. So I will get there in the background and have that at some point to get to later in this show. And then, of course, let's get into it. So I'll start with the first matchup, early start for Dallas, Texas, 6:30 a.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern, and I think a lunchtime match in England, so 12:30 or so, just past the lunch hour, just before tea time. I guess you can go to Newcastle hosting Manchester City, and then get your crumpets afterwards. Newcastle, a 1-goal underdog at home with more juice. Over unders 3.25. Juice slightly more to under. All lines are quoted courtesy of BetOnline and SportsBetting.ag, sister sites. If you don't have an account there, go get some free money. There are links in the podcast description on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. So if you have not deposited there, go get some free money from casinos. Best way to increase your bankroll and get the most bang for your buck. When you're depositing, you get free money. So Newcastle, 1-goal underdog at home, totals 3.25. Manchester City had an incredible, I guess, comeback win despite playing against 10 men for a very, very long time, an entire half against Arsenal, and the biggest soccer match of the year, most likely on the island of England. And the big question is, this Manchester City team as dominant as they have been in the past? They've had a lot of falling behinds. They haven't really kept clean sheets for years, which I think does impact the total a little bit here. But Newcastle has been one of those teams that just can't score goals on the road that they have, and we're off to a great start in the English Premier League this season. We're not great at Fulham last weekend, but I still expect to bet against Newcastle away from home, but bet on them at home. Really interested in Newcastle getting that full goal of insurance. Certainly that doesn't look like a ton against Manchester City, but City just haven't been that impressive to me. The Rodri injury, the Kevin De Bruyne injury as well, really will make, I think, Erling Haaland, because he's not a creator. He's when people find him, he scores goals. Of course, he makes all his penalties, but I think the Newcastle crowd will be a big, big problem for Manchester City. I think we saw Newcastle eliminate Manchester City from the Carabao EFL Cup last season in Newcastle. I feel like that's something going to a really, really tough situation for Manchester City, especially with Champions League on deck. It's going to be Newcastle +1. I like under 3.25 as well. Pretty much any total above 3 in the English Premier League I like at this point, unless it involves Tottenham Hotspur. Moving next to Chelsea hosting Brighton. Currently Chelsea a 3/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice. Over unders 3.25. Juice very heavily to under. Brighton are not the same offensive all-out offense that they were a couple seasons, really last season under De Zerbi. There's still a place for young talent, young talented manager. I think he's younger than I am. Unfortunately, is at the helm. The St. Pauli coach who took them up from the Schweizer Liga to the German top division, the Bundesliga, the Oberhausen. But Brighton they aren't as all out attacking. I think there's money to be made on betting their unders this season, but that is a big question, and we'll see what that all looks like going down the line. With that said, Chelsea look very scary to fade right now, especially after their performance against Bournemouth. They got controlled for an entire game, but still won at the end, and then really just did a number on West Ham, especially Nicholas Jackson. When he's scoring goals and not missing the target, they're pretty good. So I don't know if there's much for me on this one. I'll move into the next, and that's Brentford hosting West Ham United. A London battle, you could say. West London or East London travels to West, so not a huge measure of travel, but the Brentford crowd does matter. They're a 1/4 goal favorite at home. More juice on West Ham right now. Over under is 2.75. She's heavily to under. Now, the I guess I'm curious about the performance of West Ham against Chelsea. They had a long time to think about it and really have not looked good to start the season. Julian Lopetegui looks like the Wolves manager with better players, which is great for under, but not great for backing them. They stole a point with a goal from Danny Ings a couple of weeks ago, whenever that was, a couple of match days ago at least. Brentford to me, I mean, they score goals early in matches and then lose. It seems like that's the way it's gone for years and years and years now. Usually against the best in England though. So I think this is a good competitive matchup. 2 3/4 seems like a decent total for this one, and it looks like it's headed towards three. That's my biggest interest in this one, under 2 3/4. We'll move next to Arsenal hosting Leicester City. Currently, Arsenal a 2 goal favorite. All the juice on Leicester on the road. Over under is three. Juice more to the over. Arsenal, I mean, going to be a tough situation coming off of a big draw, I guess. Could have been a big win if they were able to keep a goal out in extra time at the 97th minute or so. But I'm used to, I think I've already been 19 of those against me so far this betting season. So hoping that bad luck will revert to the mean like yesterday, but we'll see. From a Leicester perspective, I mean, they got promoted last season after relegated the season before. I don't think they consider themselves a yo-yo club, but ultimately they're nowhere near as strong as they were just a few years ago when they were competing in Europe. But they do have plenty of, I think, defensive ideas behind their manager, Steve Cooper. And I think that plays into the total here. I like the two. It's bigger than I expected, though you should expect Arsenal to get bet right until kickoff. And I think the total is more interesting to me. Wait to see if this one climbs to, and I mean, we'll just see if it climbs. It's juice more to the over, but I like the push on three at worst case scenario free movie from courtesy of A_Snicker on the NFL podcast on Betting the Pitch, who believes that if you watch and then you get your money back, didn't lose it. It's like going to a movie for free. Moving next to Everton, hosting Crystal Palace. Currently, Everton a pick'em with almost all the juice. Over unders 2.5, juice slightly more to over. Everton, I mean, they got a point, didn't give up a 2 goal lead, but also didn't have one. They did have a lead that they give up as well. There's not a lot that I want to do with Everton at this point. I just like to bet against them. Crystal Palace have not really been kicked on as great as we expected them to be this season, especially how well they finished last season. They just needed that season to keep going. Unfortunately, it did not. I'm a believer in Oliver Glasner, though, and I'm waiting to see this one climb to a 1/4 goal underdog on the Crystal Palace side. I don't think that'll happen, but maybe it will. For now, my interest is the total under 2.5. Still in this 10 a.m. Eastern time window, 9 a.m. Central time here in Dallas, Texas. Nottingham Forest hosts Fulham. Currently, Forest a 1/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Fulham on the road. Over under is 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to under, and it should be because Nottingham Forest got their talisman, creator, a lot of things in Morgan Gibbs White suspended with a second yellow card, which was deserved as a pretty brutal, gruesome tackle, like scissor type kick. Did get the ball, but especially in the year of our Lord 2024, those are yellow cards. But then it got Nuno Espirito Santo, their manager, sent off. It got the Brighton manager for some reason sent off. I think the ref just wanted to I guess do some collateral damage. But Forest, they played really well at home. I just never really believe in their scoring. They got an early penalty from Chris Wood, and that was huge. But then ultimately weren't able to hold on. So I just don't really know that. I mean, Nottingham Forest got a huge upset win at Liverpool, playing really defensively, and Liverpool just to me don't seem to be the same dominant team they have been in the past. They did get a big win over Bournemouth last weekend, but the commentary is basically saying that Bournemouth deserves so much better. So I think Nottingham Forest, there's still a lot to look the other direction on. I think Fulham getting a 1/4 goal is very interesting to me, as well as under 2.5, because I think Nottingham Forest will really miss MGW. Moving to the late night edition, the standalone Wolverhampton Wanderers, which I think they're last bottom of the Premier League, so not great timing for them to host Liverpool, especially as a 1.5 goal underdog at home with all the juice on Liverpool right now. Bet online over under is 3.25, juice slightly more to over. Wolves have been in good position and have been conceding goals in incredible fashion late that have been killing my bets and also just killing them and their standings in the league. They deserve better. They have been playing better. I think Liverpool are still a team I want to bet against. They've got Champions League coming up midweek. And there's a good chance that Liverpool maybe get a road result they're certainly going to want to blow this one open early, but I think Wolverhampton will do everything they can, especially with the home crowd, to make this as hard as possible on Liverpool. I love Wolverhampton getting a goal and a half, and I like the under 3.25 even better because I think there's a little more safety there. Moving to Sunday, we have Ipswich Town hosting Aston Villa. Currently, Ipswich a half a goal underdog at home with slightly more juice on Villa on the road. Over under is 2.75. Juice is split both ways, so no real tell on where this one will head. I imagine it'll go head in the over direction, but that's a risky bet with Aston Villa. I mean, their defense is certainly pregnable, as opposed to the Mike Tyson impregnable. But Ipswich, how they're going to score, it's a big question. They're probably going to sit back and try to counterattack it. They fell behind to Southampton, got a draw, covered the against the spread number and also the under last week. So it's really my dream scenario almost, besides the 0-0, which is always my favorite. But I think I'm more interested in the total here than the side, but I do like the side as well. Aston Villa to me are not that strong, and I feel like there's a good chance that Ipswich can get a result here at home. Last but not least, on Sunday, we got one Monday game, surprisingly. We got Manchester United hosting Tottenham. Currently, Manchester United a quarter goal favorite at home coming off the Europa League. Tottenham currently three. The total here is 3.25. Juice very heavily to over with all the juice on Tottenham right now. Maybe this falls down to pick them at that price. I think I'm more interested in Manchester United. And as I said, I'm not really interested in totals involving Tottenham because all I want to do is over, and over 3.25 will probably not make it on my list, barring some sort of Bayern Munchen later in this episode. Moving to Monday, Bournemouth hosts Southampton. Currently, Bournemouth a 1 goal favorite. All the juice on Southampton right now. Over under is 3.25. Juice all the way to under. I don't really mind losing 3.25 to 3 because that push is important, and you could possibly get some good juice there, or odds there, I guess. Odds on or odds off, whatever it would be. I want some plus money if I'm playing under 3 when it's 3.25 right now, which you would have, of course. But we'll see because the juice is certainly trending towards falling to 3. Bournemouth, I'm a little bit hesitant to bet against them with unders because they are able to score goals. I just love them as an underdog. Andoni Iraola is awesome, but it's a little different of a scenario for him when he's not sitting back to counter, though they honestly controlled the game against Chelsea. You could say they did the same thing against Liverpool as well. I think Southampton I mean, they're going to play out of the back, and they just don't have the players for it. It's not going to go very well. But I gotta say, I'm still interested in under 3.25 because I don't think that Southampton are going to be able to do much offensively. For my best bet on this episode, that will eventually come up later in the ultimate best bet, as I pick one of my favorites from each of the top 5 European soccer leagues. I am 2-0 last 2, so I'm going to try to keep that streak going. And of course, I do have the comments open if you're on StreamYard or anywhere on YouTube, I think live, if you want to throw something in there and I see it, I will happily respond to it. With that said, I think for my best bet in England on this September 28th recording now, as it's late night with the real underscore G Warner, as always, I'm going to go with that Wolverhampton under 3.25 for my best bet in that one. We'll move now to the Spanish La Liga, as I wear my Getafe kit. So love the Tecnocasa, even though it's an insurance company that's not paying me to advertise them, but fits the type of music I'm into. And if you got any good sets you want to recommend, I usually just go to Circle on YouTube, CERCLE, if you want to see some wonders of the world and some DJs with potentially some good looking women on there. Not promising, but usually there are. I'd go check that out at CERCLE. Anyway, they're French. We'll move to Getafe hosting Alaves conveniently as I wear this kit. It's early start, only 6.5 hours from now. Yikes. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. Anyway, Getafe currently a pick'em to Alaves with all the juice on the home team. Over-unders 1.75 as La Liga has seen a million over so far this season, but the totals and total makers, odds makers, are not buying it. There are multiple totals that'll be under 2, which is kind of the minimum number I'll play an under on. Waiting to see this one hit 2, but I don't think it will get there, which maybe is better for me and my heart palpitations. But ultimately, the only side I can really look to right now is Alaves. I don't really like road pick'ems unless I really despise the home favorite. Slight favorite, that is, which Getafe are. I think there's a good chance of this moves to a quarter, but we don't have that now, so I'll move to the next. And that's Rayo Vallecano hosting Leganés. Currently, Rayo a half a goal favorite at home. She's pretty much split both ways. Over-under is 1.75. She's all the way to over. Maybe this one hits 2, and I'll be waiting for that to back the no scoring here. Rayo are good. I love backing them as an underdog. They got a good cover and under combo against Atletico Madrid last Sunday, but The big question, I guess, is for Leganes and can they score goals? Can they stay in this league? The league, or excuse me, the Segunda División champions. They have not been able to score goals, and I don't really fault them for it. They don't really have great talent. They did add Sebastian Haller, surprisingly, from Borussia Dortmund on loan, but I'm waiting to see this one hit two to play under, as I don't really want to fade Raya with a team that can't score. Especially not at Vallecas. Moving next to Real Sociedad hosting Valencia. Currently, Valencia half a goal underdog on the road at Sociedad coming off a Europa League match. Over-unders two, juice very heavily to under, and this has been creeping up in terms of juice. I would be very interested in grabbing this now if you are with me in like under here, which I think betting against Real Sociedad's offense is literally what I'm trying to do the rest of the season until they show something, but they haven't for a while. With to that end, I do like Valencia getting half of a goal, but I think this could be a 1-0 Sociedad win. I like the push on two, especially, and that's my biggest interest in that one. Moving next to Osasuna hosting Barcelona in the nightcap on Saturday. Osasuna, a 1-goal underdog at home. All the juice on Barcelona on the road. Maybe this is hit 1.25. Wouldn't be surprised by that. Over under is 3, and it is juiced more to the over, which makes sense. But that's probably my biggest interest in this one. It's very scary to go against Barcelona's offense with an under, but Osasuna has been great at home. For that reason, I guess I like the +1 as well, and even like it more as it gets to 1.25. Celta de Vigo then hosts Girona on Sunday morning, early time, early hours. At least it's more than a day away, but still early. Celta quarter goal favorite at home with almost all the juice. Over unders 2 3/4. She's heavily to over all the way. Might see this hit 3. Feels like we've seen the La Liga market basically ignore Girona 2 seasons ago. They were a very easy, profitable team to back, and then were on an incredible run last season and really beat everybody except for the big clubs and beat Barcelona twice, I think. Things have changed a little bit. They've lost a lot of their talent, got smoked by Barcelona when they played already this season, and there's Champions League, and they have not done well or fared well since then. I think they had a goalless draw and the loss to Valencia, which was not really deserved. They controlled the ball, had 2 deflected goals going off the same defender. For that reason, and I really love the idea of just trying to fade Celta because I don't believe in them at all. I think I believe in their defense less than I believe in their offense because their offense is usually okay, and Iago Aspas is a goal finder. But it feels like this is just too much belief in Celta Vigo and their results so far. I think there is some truth to their defense being bad, and that's why we've seen so many overs with Celta matches. But I'm waiting to see a 3 in this one, and for now, I like Girona getting a quarter of a goal. Moving next, Athletic Club hosting Sevilla. Currently, Athletic Club a 3/4 goal favorite coming off their trip to Roma in Europa League. A little bit more juice, barely on Sevilla. Over under is 2.5. Juice very heavily to under. Sevilla with a big turnover. They forced late midweek to convert it into a goal. I don't think that's going to happen too often. They were literally struggling with Real Valladolid, one of the promoted who have been awful this season. I don't trust them going on the road to Athletic Club to score any goals, so I think under is my biggest interest in that one. Though I am trying to be a little bit more cautious with road teams because if they're behind 2-0, then we're in real big danger for a third goal from Athletic Club when no one seems to care from the road team that knows they've already lost. Moving next to Real Betis hosting Espanyol. Currently Betis a 1-goal favorite. All the juice on Espanyol. Over under is 2.5. Juice all the way to under. So certainly the juice is poised to put this one back down to 3/4 of a goal as it was down there earlier. Over under 2.5 might fall to 2.25. But Real Betis, every goal they score is lucky. Incredible what they've gotten from the former Tottenham player that's come in, Argentine international, whose name is escaping me, but he's scored 3 times, I think I want to say, a penalty and a outside the box incredible goal. And they got another one of those, not Lecomte. Anyway, whatever. Can't think of his name. Sorry, because he's awesome and deserves better. So I'm going to look up that name very, very quickly. Giovanni Lo Celso, of course. He's great, but I don't really see much from Real Betis otherwise. Espanyol, a little bit scary to back away from home, but they're going to fight, and I like that full goal of insurance. It's very juicy at the moment, but I like that. To the El Derby, Atletico Madrid hosting Real Madrid. Currently, Atleti a pick'em, all the juice on Real Madrid right now. Over unders 2 3/4. Juice all the way to under. Here's a big test for Real Madrid's unbeaten streak. They've been awesome in really any type of play, of course, Champions League holders and of course La Liga Campeones, but this is a big test for them. Real Madrid have not looked that good this year, I gotta say, and they've got some injuries. It's probably why this is a pick 'em. Atleti were pretty dominant last year, and it might be the last time. I think Real Madrid lost to Villarreal, if I'm not mistaken. But Atleti can certainly beat this team. I'm interested in the pick 'em. Certainly, I'm going to wait to see Real Madrid money flow in, no matter what, no matter if Mbappe is out. And I lean to under 2 and 3/4 because I think this is going to be a tough match. I don't think goals are going to be easy. I certainly can understand that there's people expecting goals from two great offenses of two great teams, but I feel like despite what we saw with Arsenal at Manchester City last weekend, we saw, I mean, a 97th, 98th minute goal for 2-2. Good chances one lands three. It doesn't look like the total is going to get there, though, unfortunately. So I'll put Atleti on my list at Pick'em and also at under 2 and 3/4. And last on Monday with Villarreal hosting Las Palmas, currently Villarreal a 1 1/4 goal favorite. Almost all the juice on Las Palmas on the road. Over under is 3. And this is the big question. Las Palmas have been really bad. Can you trust them away from home? I don't know that I can trust them. I know I can trust them not to score goals because they seem very hard to get. But Villarreal could kill this team. 3 is a very big total in Spain, though. So you're certainly paying for it if you're going over there. So I lean to under 3 in that one. For my best bet on this episode, I'm going to go with Valencia under 2 goals on the road at Real Sociedad. Feel like that one is one you might want to get into sooner rather than later. Moving to Italy and Serie A, we've got 3 more leagues left, so please hang on. This will be fun. Hopefully, you're having fun already, at least learning something maybe, or I don't know, figuring out something to argue with in the comments. Haven't seen any comments yet, but if there are some, I will look for them. Udinese hosts Inter Milan, coming off a really sad Derby de Madrileña, or what am I supposed to say? I don't Madeleine. No, that sounds like Madrid. Whatever. The one in Milan, that they lost on a late header after a pretty silly, could say cynical, yellow card tackle from Federico DeMarco, something DeMarco. Anyway, great left footer for sure. I guess I don't know his first name, but Udinese 1 1/4 goal underdog at home. The Inter over under is 2 and 3/4 juice all the way to over, all the way juice on the Udinese side, basically too. Maybe this falls down to 1. Udinese have played pretty well. It didn't look great against Roma and Ivan Juric's debut. But we're off to a great start. We're top of the league, and they're just trying to stay in it so they can keep building the club, or their owner can keep telling people he owns a team in Serie A and a team in the English Championship or something like that. Because Watford, I don't know if they're getting promoted anytime soon. But I'm interested in the home dog. I think more so than the under. I'd love to see 3 there. Inter are just so hard to beat, and especially coming off a loss. Yes, Champions League's coming up, but they can't have a worse trip than at Manchester City. And I gotta say, they probably are out for blood in this one. With that said, I'll put Udinese getting a 1 1/4 on my list. Moving next to Genoa hosting Juventus. Currently, Genoa a 3/4 goal underdog at home. More of the juice on Juve right now. Over under is 2 1/4, and the juice very heavily to under. Total's a lot smaller than I made it, but I think Juve are just pretty much looked at as the same team, a great defense, but probably even a better one than they had under Allegri. At least this Juve team is trying to score goals late, but usually it's from young kids who are going on runs and getting golazzos, which have killed my bets this year. But I expect those to stop. Genoa have been pretty disappointing. They did have Coppa Italia midweek in a home match in their shared stadium with Sampdoria, a big rival. Who knows what that took out of them, but my biggest interest here is in that Genoa under 2 1/4 rather than backing them because I feel like they probably wanted to beat their rival a little bit too much, then also be big time focus for Juve. Moving next to Bologna hosting Atalanta. Currently Bologna at Pick'em, but all the juice on Atalanta right now away from home. Over under is 2 1/4, juice all the way to over. Bologna's an under team and would have gone under last weekend if not for Golazzo outside the box. Broken record here, just happens so often it seems. Atalanta are not the same all-out attacking team, but they're just really good. I really like them. And while Bologna were able to get off their manager first win, former Scudetto winner at Napoli before he left, or actually no, that might not be the same guy. No, I think he ended up taking the Italian national team job. Anyway, new manager came in, hadn't won a match yet. I think he came in from Fiorentina. Moving up big time to Champions League and hadn't gone very well. I'm interested in Atalanta side, but not really laying anything on a road team, to say the least. I think I'll lean towards under. It's definitely not the same defense as it was under Thiago Motta, but I think at this point, under 2 1/4 feels pretty low for an Atalanta match, but we might get 2.5 before it kicks off. Moving to Sunday, we have Torino hosting Lazio. Currently, Torino at Pick'em. All the juice on Lazio on the road. Over under is 2.25, and it's juice more to the under. Torino, different style under Ivan Juric last season, but I still don't see where the goals come from. Lazio with took a lead and then gave up two penalties, including one really late one. Just brutal loss. If you back Lazio like I did last weekend, they don't stop. I think Lazio, though, I'd be looking to see them climb to a favorite here. I don't think that'll necessarily happen, though it's certainly pointing that direction. I think my biggest interest in this one is under 2.25. Moving next to Roma hosting Venezia. Currently, Roma 1.25 goal favorite. Juice is split both ways. Over under is 2.75. Juice more to the under. I think Roma coming off Athletic Club Bilbao at home. It's nice to get to stay in the Stadio Olimpico back-to-back matches, but I think the Juric construction site is certainly under construction. It has not been finished yet. For that reason, I'm looking to bet against Roma while they change styles because Daniele De Rossi was just, I mean, no one does what Juric does, though I think Juric is a good manager and we'll see what he does with good talent. But I think it's going to be conservative. I think Venezia will go there to defend. I'll certainly be looking to see this total climb to 3, but at 2.75, I like it now. Next, we'll go to Como hosting Verona. Currently, Como a quarter goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.25. Juice more to the over. That feels expensive to me for a Como side, newly promoted, that did spend a ton of money, but honestly, looking at their talent, there's not a lot there despite the money they spent and the big names they brought in. They're kind of average or not really playing. Verona have not gotten off to a great start and look like they're going to fight relegation again, but I'm interested in that quarter of a goal on the road. Look like it could climb to a half, and I like under 2.25 there as well. Moving next to Empoli hosting Fiorentina. Empoli, probably the big surprise other than Udinese to start this Italian campaign. And many Jornatas already done. They've played about as well as you can ask them to. A team of loanees, essentially, no real property, it seems. Empoli, a quarter goal underdog at home to Fiorentina. More juice on Fiorentina on the road. Over under is 2.25. Juice more to the under. I like Empoli. Fiorentina, I thought were really fortunate to get a win. First win under the former Monza manager who moved in to Fiorentina and had gotten off to an awful start also. I like the home dog. I like under 2.25 there as well. I feel like a split is in order at worst case scenario. The nightcap on Sunday, Napoli hosting Monza. Currently, Napoli a 1.5 goal favorite. All the juice on Monza on the road. Over under is 2.75. Juice more to the under. Now, Napoli played the last cup match, Coppa Italia of the week. Against a really good Palermo side in the Serie B, I believe. Bought a bunch of players. It seemed like a lot of transfer market activity was done by them. And Monza looked like an under team to me. I think Napoli under Conte are still a counterattacking side. At least that's what he did with Tottenham forever, even against the bad teams. So for that reason, I do lean to the side a little bit, but I'm more comfortable with an under total there. And last but not least, Parma hosts Cagliari on Monday. Currently, Parma a quarter goal favorite with all the juice over unders 2.75. Juice more to the under. Parma can't really help it. They take a red card every match. It's really bad, poor discipline. Shows what a Serie B call up, though certainly a storied big club in Italy should know better than that. But it's been a struggle. I don't really like them as a favorite because they blow leads. I lean under here, but I gotta say I'm pretty concerned about 2.75 is large for especially with Cagliari involved who don't score much. But Parma, honestly, they do everything you don't want a team to do when you're backing them. I felt the wrath of having a lead in stoppage time that was lost to two stoppage time headed goals because the goalkeeper was sent off and they had a midfielder playing goalkeeper. I mean, I really hope I don't have another beat like that, but I did come out ahead in that matchup with a push on the total and a half win on the side. So I guess that wasn't so bad. But when you're 1-0 up with a 1.25 underdog and under 3 in stoppage time, you feel like you should do better than a half unit in the positive direction. With that said, for my best bet in Italy, I'm going to go with Venezia under 2.75 goals. I'm just not really a believer in Juric taking off so quickly. Move next to Ligue 1 in France. I'll start with Lens hosting Nice at a more reasonable 10 a.m. Central Time here in Dallas, Texas on Saturday, September 28th. Lens, a half a goal favorite right now. The juice on Nice coming off a Europa League match midweek. Over unders 2.25, juiced all the way to the over. Lens are a great home team. They're going to really make it hard on Nice to do anything. And I think the Nice offense is really poor despite dropping 8 against Saint Etienne. I hope to potentially make some money off of that reversion to the mean. But my biggest interest here is in that under 2.25. I like Nice getting a quarter of, or excuse me, a half of a goal. It looks like it might fall to a quarter, but I like the half. But I think my bigger interest is under 2.25. Moving to Le Havre, hosting Lille. Currently, Le Havre, a 3/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over unders 2.5, juice all the way to under. Lille have not looked great, including some poor Champions League. Took a red card early in the first half on the road at Sporting Lisboa in Lisbon, Portugal. But got to say, Le Havre could have been 2-1 up on Monaco after falling, conceding the first goal, tied it up, went to halftime, scored right before, or right, excuse me, as the second half started, but were very close offside and then ended up capitulating, unfortunately. But Le Havre have it. They're good. I would love to get a full goal of insurance from Lille. I don't think we'll see that. Lille, I gotta say, they were great under Paulo Fonseca, who's moved on to Milan, and he's been a lot all over the place with a lot of pressure on him in and I guess the northern one of the northern fashion capitals of Italy. I guess probably the fashion capital. Regardless, I just don't see it with Lille so far. Never really believed in Jonathan David or David, the Canadian striker, who just seems to be a penalty scorer. We'll have to do some work to avoid that. They don't have a ton of offense to them, but I like the 3/4 of the goal on a home team, and I like under 2.5 as I think they stay in the league again. Monaco then hosts Montpellier. Currently, Monaco a goal-and-a-half favorite at home. A little bit more juice on Montpellier on the road. Over unders 3.25, juice to the over. Montpellier were bottom of Liga, I believe, and had a huge comeback victory. I think tied this equalized, then took the lead, gave their own equalizer, and then ended up winning late, all in the same match against Alger last weekend, on last Sunday, but dimanche, I believe, in French. But I don't like their chances. Monaco started off the year pretty well. I don't think there's much for that I want to touch in this one. There probably are goals, so maybe over 3.25. So Joe Dollar can feel like I'm an over guy now. We'll move to Sunday. Toulouse hosting Lyon. Currently Toulouse a pick 'em at home right now with all the juice. Over under is 2.75, and it is juiced very heavily to let's see, yeah, looks like we're gonna potentially fall to 2.5. I like Toulouse. I feel like they've been great since really since the second half of last season. And Lyon had Europa League somehow that they qualified for, despite being bottom of Liga for a long time last year. I think Toulouse take advantage of that. I like to pick them. I don't mind it at home. And it's tough for the total because I do think both of the teams score. So I probably want to stay away from under there. Moving to the next matchup with a big window. I guess only two in this window, but Angers hosts Reims. Thought the Reims because I think there were two Friday League on matches. So getting a real short end of the stick on the Betting the Pitch podcast, available on Apple Podcast, Spotify. If you leave 5-star reviews, it'd be huge. Also on YouTube under the @real_G Warner handle. Also, that's where you can find this reel on Instagram, and the same at the real_G Warner for the YouTube short. But Angers, a quarter goal underdog at home to Reims. Over under is 2.25, juice all the way to over. A lot of juice on the Reims side as well. Champagne Country coming in. They've been better. I feel like they are really great at scouting, finding new talent. Angers, a promoted club, are probably going back down. I like the home underdog because I just don't think Reims are a great favorite, but I think my biggest interest in this one is under 2.25. Moving next to Nantes hosting Saint Etienne. Currently Nantes a 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Saint Etienne on the road. Over under is 2.5. Juice all the way to under, and I lean that under. Nantes and Angers had a early couple goals and saw nothing at the end of the match. A long way. Not off to a great start, but have a very defensive manager, and I think they will continue to see low scoring matches. So give me that Saint Etienne bounce back from allowing 8, which not great to allow 6 goals in the first half, but two were fortunate, or one fortunate own goal on a cross in the box, low cross, and then a worldie, and then the floodgates opened. Not great because it probably means Saint Etienne are in big trouble if they go down 2-0. But I think Nantes are less likely to dominate, and I think Saint Etienne are going to be very hard and defensively for this matchup. And last but not least, Strasbourg hosts Marseille. Currently, Strasbourg a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over under is 3, just more to the under. I got to say, Strasbourg are starting to play really good. They got a great home field advantage, and Marseille, I mean, they've been to me, way better away from home than they have been at home. But I mean, Marseille just underachieve every year and don't really hit the heights. So I think my biggest interest in this one, I was gonna pick the ultimate best bet being the Saint Etienne Nantes under, but I think it's actually I'll take Strasbourg getting a half of a goal at home. Now we'll move to the German Bundesliga, and that'll be the last league I'll cover in this episode. Probably great news to some of you, so I can stop talking. But hopefully you're liking it. And if you got a comment, I see people are in the chat, in the visuals or whatever we're doing. Feel free to send something in here, and I'll see if I can read it. Worst case scenario, hit me on Twitter at @the_real_G Warner on any sort of platform because that's where I'm at, despite the horrible handle. So moving to the German Bundesliga, we'll start with VfL Wolfsburg, a quarter goal underdog at home to VfB Stuttgart. Total is 3, juiced all the way to over. Spread all the way juiced on the Stuttgart side. This is a very respectful number for Wolfsburg. It's probably too low for me to get involved. I feel like they're, as Ralf Hasenhüttl said, they're effing fit after the match in the first interview with ESPN, which they then profusely apologized. Of course, Disney Channel owners of ESPN, blah blah blah, here in the United States. But I think Wolfsburg are so I usually trust really short underdogs, especially home underdogs in Serie A and Italy, because that's usually a very intelligent market telling you something. I don't know that I trust the German Bundesliga Liga market as much because I feel like there's a lot of money to be made in this league specifically. Stuttgart have looked too good also, and I don't think Wolfsburg really fit that game very well of just being very aggressive because that's what Stuttgart are. They're going to press like crazy. And Wolfsburg, I don't really know what they're going to do. I'm still waiting to see what this Wolfsburg project is going to look like under Ralf Hasenhüttl. I lean and I'll put the home underdog on there just really because it's had so much success in Italy over the years. But totals feels at 3, it's juiced to the over. Probably see 3.25 before kickoff. I just don't know that I love that, I got to say. Moving next to Leipzig, hosting Augsburg. Currently, Leipzig a 1.25 goal favorite with more of the juice. Over under 3.25, juice slightly more to over. They got a Champions League home match coming up, and they need to right the ship. Back-to-back goalless draws with big totals, and for good reason, I think. I'm not really a believer in Leipzig away from home, but at home they haven't been as dominant in years. So Augsburg have not gotten off to a great start, but they spent a lot of money in their club. I lean to them as both a road underdog and to the under there as well. Moving next to Sports Club Freiburg hosting St. Pauli. Really, Freiburg a 1 goal favorite. All the juice on St. Pauli on the road. Over under is 2.75, just all the way to under. St. Pauli have been, I mean, they played so well against Leipzig and just couldn't score no matter what. Probably taken 6 hours to find the net finally. Now they go to Freiburg, who've been great at home, got a great crowd support, and gotten off to a great start under Julian Schuster. Had a huge, awesome goal and really a big second half of goals that went from a 0-0 halftime. I think the only one in the Bundesliga last weekend. And as I lose my pop mic or my boom, I don't even know what I call this thing, but it was attached. Oh, well, we're just doing great. Sorry for the audio for the people. But if you're watching me, you could probably see me struggling live on video, or I guess recorded on video if you're watching this later. Regardless, Freiburg, they have a new manager in. He's not going to be the same as Christian Streich and will not have the same success. But clearly or maybe not clearly, but there's a good argument that can be made. It's the club rather than the manager. And I think that helps the new guy coming in. I think St. Pauli, though, is a 1 goal underdog, are live. They probably won't win. They probably are less likely because I don't know that they can score. Freiburg have seemed to be able to score in every match, of course, beat Stuttgart in the opener at home. My biggest interest here, though, is in that under 2.75. I would love to get a full 3. I think St. Pauli are going to try and play really well. Schweizer Liga promoted side that probably plays well, but who knows if they actually, I think they're champions of the Schweizer Liga actually, which is usually a good time for staying up the next season, but they got to score a goal, and it's really hard for them to do. Moving next to Mainz 05 hosting Heidenheim. TSG no, Heidenheim, not Hoffenheim. That'll come later, I think. Mainz a half a goal favorite at home. All the juice over under is 2.75, juice more to the over. Heidenheim not off to a great start. I thought they played Freiburg pretty well. Had some tough breaks or wonder goals scored by the visitors, and that was pretty much that. Heidenheim, a lot of was made of them, how much they'd sold. They're in the Conference League, so that's going to be tough for them to balance Europe. coming up. I mean, I think staying in the league is their biggest deal, and that's going to put them under threat. But they haven't started playing that yet. So besides the playoffs early in the season, Mainz on the other side. I mean, they got pretty fortunate, I felt, to get a penalty chalked off. They were down to 10 men for a long time, yet I think still took a lead late on the road last Friday. I haven't really liked what I've seen from Mainz, despite their incredible ability to stay up every season, no matter how far in the year they're bottom of the table. So I'm interested in Heidenheim potentially getting back to that success rate. They definitely have some European ambitions coming up, but I don't know that that will supersede trying to stay in the Bundesliga. So I like that half of a goal on Heidenheim, and I like under 2 and 3/4. Though it's probably more. I think I have more interest in the side rather than the total. Moving next to Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Football Club Union Berlin. Gladbach a quarter goal favorite with all the juice at home. Over unders 2 and 3/4. Juice all the way to under. Gladbach have been playing well, but you can say that for years now, and they've got great talent that has left a lot. Thuram's killing it at Inter. Alassane Playa, excuse me, hasn't really been playing, I think, due to injury. There's a lot of questions for me at Gladbach. Their crowd seems into it, but doesn't seem like I mean, they're horrible away from home, but that's because they're just okay at home, and it looks way worse when they lose every time away from home. Union Berlin, on the other hand, and they brought in a manager I really liked at Mainz, Noel Fumf, who saved them from the drop. Bo Svensson, there's another Bo at Mainz. Again, they only hired former players that are Dutch named Bo apparently. But I think, excuse me, but Gladbach, they've got the name value. They've got a ton of history in the club. Were great many years ago, but none of those players are playing or probably walking. So I'm interested in Union. I like them getting a quarter of a goal, like under 2 and 3/4, because they play a grinded out style. It's Urs Fischer is it's like his next in line. It's not related. I don't think Bo Svensson ever managed under him or coached with him or whatever, but the club philosophy seems to work, and I really like it. I miss the days of just backing Union Berlin every weekend and making money. To the top spiel, the big match on Saturday, we have Bayern Munich hosting Bayer Leverkusen in a big battle to try to get Leverkusen, after their loss at home to Leipzig, back potentially at the top of the table. I think if they win, goal differential, they'll be behind, which I guess matters in the German Bundesliga more than other leagues. So maybe it won't get them there, but it'll certainly be a big statement. Bayern Munich currently a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 3.5. Juice very heavily to under. Bayern Munich, I think, were a 1 goal favorite in this match last year. Leverkusen got a late penalty to equalize the match and draw, I think 2-2. I thought Leverkusen, it kind of set them on their way because they were really good in that game. I think deserve better. As I take a quick sip, as I've been one man banding this for let's see, 42 minutes. Not so bad, I guess. But regardless, this is going to be a big match. But Bayern Munich have looked great scoring goals. Leverkusen have scored plenty, but really not as much as I would be hoping for at this point in the season. And I feel like Leverkusen's defense has been horrible. So only way I can lean in this one is over. And I don't think I want much to do until I get a full goal of insurance, which we don't have yet, but it certainly looks like the juice is pointing in that direction. It does remind me a little bit about Stuttgart last year, Bayern Munich under Thomas Tuchel, who's I think a better manager at this point than Vincent Kompany. Maybe not man manager, but strategies. They were great, played on the counterattack against Stuttgart and killed them last year. I don't think Leverkusen would really fall in those traps, but I also think Leverkusen, as a big underdog, would love the ball. So I'll wait and see in that one. But Joe Dollar, here's the over 3.5, and that one's my biggest interest in that matchup. Moving to Sunday, just only 2 matches. Holstein Kiel, newly promoted, hosts Eintracht Frankfurt, coming off their home match with Victoria Plzen from Czech Republic or Czechia. In the Europa League, Holstein Kiel, a 3/4 goal underdog at home, more juice on Eintracht Frankfurt on the road. Over under is 3.25, juice all the way to under. After seeing Holstein Kiel get blasted by Bayern because they tried a new formation, it's like literally what all these promoteds do, and it's this dumbest thing. You got to play how you play, and you might get murdered, but it's better than trying something else and just getting murdered that way because it's almost inevitable. Eintracht Frankfurt are different, are certainly not the same, and have that extra match they had to play midweek. I'm interested in the Kiel side. I don't know what it's going to take for me to want to get involved. Probably a full goal of insurance, which it looks like we could get there. I'll lead to under 3.25 as well. Frankfurt are going to try to score goals, but I feel like deep inside, Topmuller, their manager, there's a defensive kind of mind in there. Last but not least, TSG Hoffenheim coming off of their Europa League campaign. They're hosting Werder Bremen. Currently, Hoffenheim a quarter goal favorite. All the juice on Werder Bremen on the road. Over under is 3.25. Juice more to the over. This is an interesting number because it pretty much says that these two teams are basically equal and a neutral. Hoffenheim are horrible away from home, but have been pretty good at home despite a very nothing crowd there. And honestly, we're much better away from them, I feel like, last season. So things are changing. Hoffenheim trying to balance multiple competitions. I don't know the Pellegrino Matarazzo with a lot of club issues in the background. Like literally he's speaking about it, being asked about it by ESPN. Like not a great situation. So I'm very interested in Werder Bremen playing a competitive game here. I do like Olivena a little bit, not my cousin, but close to my last name. And I got to say, I am pretty interested in under 3.25 here, though that's a big time hold your nose type of play there. So without the +1, I think I'll go over 3.5 in Bayern and in the Leverkusen match. So Joe Dollar, eat your heart out. There's an over making it to the section of my podcast that will be the best bet portion, which is I think saying something. If you don't also, very loyal Patreon subscriber, Joe Dollar. I might as well throw that out there. If you're not a member of my Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/real_G Warner. Lan Zhang, you came in last week. Thank you so much for that. I want to also shout out my other subscribers. There's been a laundry. Jeez, this mic just doesn't want to stay together. There's been a long list of people that have been supporting me forever, literally since I released the Patreon or started doing it. We've been through the growing pains and a pretty slow or really bad summer was probably the way to put it with Major League Baseball. But we've been on a good run lately. And Zachary Cyphers is another new member. Thank you for coming in. Really important, and it helps to keep me still doing these episodes, to say the least. Especially at 1 o'clock a.m. on a Saturday morning. Cool guy, but I guess none of my friends go out anymore. So maybe that's a little bit behind the music, but not as much to worry about when none of your friends go out, I guess. So and I gotta say, Dallas bars, there's some lookers in there though. So maybe that's my problem. Let's see, anything else I should mention? Maybe some new subscribers on YouTube. That's probably important before I get to the ultimate best bet. No, I'm not stalling. Just want to make sure that I get this going. Yes, Nick Restrepo, JC Truth. Also, thank you for coming in. I hope that's a real name. If it's not, at least you maybe the truth has set you free as opposed to shall. It already has. And then I probably should stop checking my credit card bill because we're live. So let's get into it. All right, it's the ultimate best bet. I gotta get my video going because I did forget to post my Europa League pick this week, which is disappointing because that's for some reason it has some of the best viewership ratings. I can't really explain it, but it's been awesome. And I hope that it'll never stop. Oh yeah, great hair day, fresh out of the shower. Probably shouldn't have washed my hair. Should have thought about the beauty routine. Oh boy, what are we doing? Okay, we're about to start this thing. Sorry, so we're having some technical difficulties over here. All right. Hopefully that stays. And we're at 47 minutes. It's a pretty quick episode. I guess missing Friday does help a little bit. All right. I got everything in the background. I think so. All right. So let's go through the ultimate best bet. Hey, this is the real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet for betting the pitch, the European Soccer Edition. I basically go through the top 5 European soccer leagues, every match that can be bet Saturday and Sunday and Monday as well. Pick out my interest in that one, try to give you a little background, and then I sum it up end of show with my 5 favorite bets from the 5 top European soccer leagues, and then pick one and you can grade me on it. Went 2-0 our last 2 episodes that I released on at the real_G Warner, where you're watching this on YouTube and on Instagram, and going to try to keep that momentum going. We'll move to England. I like Wolverhampton Wanderers under 3.25 goals. In La Liga in Spain, I like Valencia under 2 goals. In Serie A, I like another under. In Venezia under 2.75. In Ligue 1 in France, I like Strasbourg getting a half of a goal. In the Bundesliga in Germany, like Bayer Leverkusen over 3.5. But for the ultimate best bet in this episode, I like Wolverhampton Wanderers under 3.25. Finally get that defense right at home against Liverpool. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll get hopefully a bunch of winners out there. And of course, stay tuned for the baseball and pro football. NFL has been really hot lately. Hopefully, get some more missed field goals. Though I can't say I'm going to expect that moving forward. It's nice to finally be on the right side of a bad beat or something like that. Love you all. See you soon. And make sure you follow the buttons. And if you could leave a 5-star review, that'd be huge. Please, please, please on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and subscribe on YouTube at the real_G Warner.